Thank you for joining us here at SSC Live TV. Dr. Ken Jobst will be discussing how your dietary habits can assist you in your spiritual goals. Welcome to Taste and See.
My name is Ken Jobst, and this is Taste and See on SSC Live TV. Hey, today we're cooking, and we're cooking with one of my favorite vegetables of all time, the artichoke. Oh my goodness, what are we going to be doing with an artichoke? Well, stay tuned. We're going to explore this wonderful vegetable and just see what it is all about. But I want us to understand the artichoke in the context of Jesus' instruction to his disciples in Luke chapter 10. Now, Jesus sent out, you know Jesus had 12 disciples, right? And so Jesus had these 12 disciples, but in addition to the 12, he had 70 more disciples in Luke chapter 10. And Jesus sends out these 70 disciples. And I want to share this passage of Scripture with you because it's just so inspiring to me. From Luke chapter 10, this is verses 1 through 9. After these things, the Lord appointed 70 others also, and sent them 2 by 2 before his face into every city and place where he himself was about to go. Now, I just want to put that in contemporary language so you understand what's going on here. Jesus was on a speaking tour, right? He's going from city to city. He's going to be preaching and teaching, and he sends before him to every city where he's going to go on the entire itinerary, he sends out advance people. So the 70 disciples are divided into 35 teams, and so there's at least 35 cities that Jesus is intending to go to. Now, I don't know what else the advance people needed to do. Maybe they were going to go and be sure that there was accommodations. Maybe they were going to go and put up posters that say Jesus is speaking tonight. But maybe some of those were the social media group who would go out and they would chisel on a rock this way to the meeting, right? So one thing or another, Jesus had advance teams to go to the cities where he was going to go and be sure that everything was ready. Now, verse 2, then he said to them, the harvest is truly great, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. Go your way. Behold, I send you out as lambs among wolves. Carry neither money bag or knapsack, no sandals, and greet no one on the road. And now, watch. When he says, don't take sandals, he's saying, look, don't pack sandals. You're wearing the shoes you need to be wearing. You don't need to get bagged down with 45 pieces of luggage. But which reminds me, by the way, did you know that we sent men to the moon before we developed wheeled luggage? I'm just saying, who's in charge here? Anyway, Jesus says, look, don't pack a big bag, don't carry extra sandals, and don't greet anybody along the road. Now, back in Jesus' day, greeting someone along the road meant, oh, hey, gee, haven't seen you since the high school class reunion 50 years ago. Let's sit and talk and chat and blah, blah, blah. No. Greeting someone along the road back in the day took a long time. And Jesus says, look, you've got a place to go. You've got things to do. Verse 5 says, but whatever house you enter, first say, peace to this house. And also, if a son of peace is there, your peace will rest on it. But if not, it will return to you. I just love that. I love it that when you bestow peace upon a place, that peace can be received. You're blessing a place by coming to it is one of the ways that can be expressed. So if you grant your peace to the place will receive it and be peaceful. However, if the place does not receive your peace, don't worry. Your peace will return to you. You haven't lost anything. It's a wonderful thing. And remain in the same house, eating and drinking such things as they give. Now, understand this. Jesus is sending out 70 disciples in 35 teams of 2. And if you go to a place and it's like, this house isn't everything I dreamed it was going to be, you know what? They don't have as big a swimming pool as they ought to have. I don't care for their gym isn't what I thought it was going to be. Jesus says, stay in the house you go to first. Don't go shopping other people's hospitality, right? Let them give you the hospitality they're going to give you. For the laborer is worthy of his wages. Don't go from house to house. Whatever city you enter and they receive you, eat such things as are placed before you, and heal the sick there, and say to them, the kingdom of God has come near you. Wow. So that's the passage of Scripture from Luke chapter 10, verses 1 through 9. Something that has fascinated me for a long time is the whole notion of Christian hospitality. And linguistically, hospitality has its roots in the Latin word hospice. Hospes, hospice. And it literally means, this is the fascinating part, the Latin word hospice means guest. But it also means host. How's that work? Well, it's a lot like the Hawaiian word aloha. It's a greeting and it's something you say when departing. But hospice meant guest. It also meant host. And significantly, it meant that there is an arrangement, there's an agreement that has to exist between the guest and the host. So if you've ever entertained in your home or in your church, you understand that the host has duties for hospitality. But what Jesus is pointing out to us here is that the guest has a hospitality duty as well. And this is very important, that there are some things we expect of a host, and likewise, there are some things we expect of a guest. There's a difference between a guest and a moocher. I'm just saying, right? Okay. Now, every house needs peace. And so Jesus says, when you go as a guest, grant your peace to the house. You know what? In Jesus' day, there were Pharisees. And these Pharisees were so picky, right? That, it has to be cooked like this. And, we got to do this and that and the other thing. And then there were, also in Jesus' day, there were Epicureans. And the Epicurean, if the Epicurean came to your house as a guest, they had to have the best, right? You couldn't give an Epicurean guest peanut butter and jelly, right? So the Epicurean was going to demand the best. The Pharisee was always going to demand something picky that this has to be, just this one certain way. A guest should never be a Pharisee or an Epicurean, right? Jesus is saying when you go to somebody's house and you're their guest, eat what they put in front of you. So this is a fundamental concept, right? For fellowship to be able to nurture. The Greeks called it the koinonia, the things that we have in common. So if you're from the city or you're from the country, if you're rich or if you're poor, there's still these basic guidelines that are going to underscore the koinonia. So, what happens if you go to the house and you're a good guest, you want to be a good guest, and the host wants to be a good host, and the host puts on your table, right there on your plate, an artichoke. Now I got to tell you what. Let me tell you about everything I know about artichokes, right? Artichokes are a very, very interesting, as you can see by their very form, they're an interesting kind of thing. You know what? 100% of the artichokes that are sold in the United States come from Monterey County, California. In Monterey County, you know, around Salinas, it's south of San Francisco, but it's right on the coast. And there's a little town called Castroville. And in Castroville, there's a couple of very, very, very large artichoke farms. They have precisely the right climate for an artichoke to grow, which is basically a Mediterranean climate. They can't take it too hot. They can't take it too cold. There are some artichoke varieties that are perennials. You know, you plant the plant, it comes back every year. But most artichoke plants these days are annuals. You know, they bear for 1 year and that's it. In Monterey County in California, the artichokes that are grown are basically of the cultivar that's called the green globe. And I want to tell you, the peak artichoke time is between March and May in springtime is the peak harvest for the artichokes. But artichokes are available year-round, but there's also a little spike in production that comes along in October. So in the next few weeks, you might see artichokes kind of more available coming into the stores. Well, what do you do with an artichoke? How would you know what? I can tell you something about the first person that ever ate an artichoke. They were hungry, right? Because if you take a look at this thing, yipes. Look at it. What an artichoke is the immature flower of the artichoke plant, which has been described as being on the thistle side of the sunflower family, right? So you drive along the California coast and you'll see these plants, and the harvest goes on for many weeks, and people come up and down the rows. They'll cut the artichokes and they throw them over their shoulder into a big basket that's they wear as a backpack. And of course it's Spanish speaking, so they refer to it as a canasta. You know, they refer to it to put them in the basket. But different size artichokes come from different places on the plant, and to begin to prepare an artichoke, the first thing that you have to do is to be very careful, because there's a little thorn. There's a little spike at the end of every leaf. And so the first thing that we want to do is to cut off the very top of the artichoke. We're going to cut down through the top. And I tell you what, I've got a wonderful knife, but I've got something even better. I got my kitchen scissors. I love kitchen scissors. And so we're going to snip each of these top leaves. Oh, and they're going to go everywhere. But that's okay. We're going to snip them as we go right around the top of the artichoke. And as we cut them away, they can be discarded. But once again, be careful, because if you just jump down and start to brush them up, you'll discover those little thorns, those little stickers at the end of each and every leaf. You know what? My mother used to tell me that God gave everything a way to defend itself. You know, dogs and cats, they have teeth and claws. Everything's got a way to defend itself. And even the artichoke has developed a way to defend itself, but I don't know from what, because most folk would not even have a notion of starting to eat an artichoke. I'm just cutting off a few more of these little spines so I don't get stuck when I put it in the pot. Now, I'm kind of this way about vegetables. The cut that is on this artichoke, now, okay, it was cut in the field, right? And the plant itself has sealed off that cut. So if you go to eat this artichoke stem, that's going to be the toughest part. So what I want to do, once again with my scissors, is go ahead and make another cut a little farther up the stem. And when I make that cut, I'm going to have a fresh end then. Now, so this is basically all the preparation you need to do to the artichoke itself. Cut off all those little spines. you'll notice that you can loosen it up just a little bit. By the way, yeah. This is kind of like a nice little mathematical proposition as well. It's the leaves are in a spiral. They overlap one another and they go all the way down into this little tiny, big leaves on the outside. They go inside in a little spiral to smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and teeny, 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 tiny leaves all the way in there. Now, this one is ready for preparation. And to prepare it, what you want to do is to put it in a double boiler. What's a double boiler? Well, a double boiler is basically a pan with a little grate in the bottom of it. You pour water in the pan and maybe a little salt, maybe a garlic clove, in the water. And you put the artichoke then on the little grate in the pan, and the water's underneath, it boils and it steams the artichoke. Now, oh yes indeed. As it turns out, I had the pleasure of steaming one of these artichokes just a few moments ago, and we have the pan right in front of me right here, so let's dive right in. Here's our steamed artichoke, and our steamed artichoke is ready, and I'm going to very gingerly now, there we go, and bringing it out, and as you'll notice, that there's an aroma, a good aroma. It's a good smell that comes. And you'll see that from the water, I've taken out the double boiler part, but there is just a little bit of liquid in there, kind of like the pot liquor. I'm sure there's vitamins and everything else in there. I love the aroma of it. Just between you and me, I've never tasted it, I've never used it in anything, but right here now is our artichoke. And I can peel back the leaves, and you'll notice that the leaves peel back much, much easier now. And those leaves, as we peel them back, we find the best part of the artichoke. Now, I had a good friend in college who invited me to a dinner one time in college. And this is one of these, professors and students and all this kind of stuff, and you're wearing a suit, you're trying to make an impression, and they served, hear me, artichokes. I'm from the country, I get out once in a while, but they put in front of me an artichoke on an artichoke plate. Now, I don't know, you can probably get an artichoke plate at like Louisville Stoneware or something like that. But this artichoke plate was a big platter. And in the center, there was a round piece with a little lip around it that you place the artichoke in. And then 2/3 at the top was empty, and there was 1/3 at the bottom that had a sauce in it. It turns out it was basically drawn butter with garlic. So that drawn butter and garlic, here's how this thing works. And right there, I've pulled away one of the leaves, right? This is an inner leaf, but you can start it with the outer leaves as well. So the edible part is right down here. And the way you eat an artichoke leaf, well, the way you eat an artichoke is leaf by leaf. And so you basically just scrape the inside part on your teeth and discard the leaf then in the top part of the plate that is reserved for leaves. Here goes. Ready? Okay, that's not bad. That's very good. So I'm going to discard my leaves now, right over there, and I'm going to have another one. Now, oh yeah, the inner part of the leaf is the best. Now, traditionally, drawn butter and garlic is served with the artichoke, but after a little while, you'll discover that the artichoke tastes like drawn butter and garlic. You don't really get to taste the artichoke. I've asked people, have you ever tasted baked potato? They're like, sure, I have baked potato all the time. What do you put on it? Oh, I put on it butter and cheese and sour cream and bacon bits and scallions. Okay, No. Then you haven't tasted a baked potato. You've tasted the salt and the butter and everything else, right? That's artichoke. That's a real thing. Now, I'm continuing to open up my artichoke, and tell you what, I'm just going to put all of this is perfectly serviceable. I feel so bad eating in front of you, but it's so good. Now, but I'm not done yet, because I'm putting those back in the pot liquor, and that will keep them nice. Right? Now, I've come right back down. I've taken out most of those bigger leaves, and I'm going to take off these. Look at these. These little tinier leaves are still in there. Just as edible, more tender as you get closer to the center. And I pull away all the smaller leaves, and look there. Oh my goodness. I have pulled off the leaf cap from the heart. And when I get down to the heart of the artichoke, I'm going to tell you why they call it an artichoke, right? Because if you tried to eat this part right in the middle, you'll choke. Because this part is fuzzy, it's fibrous, it is indigestible, and it is made to be set aside, right? There's some things in life, when they come your way, understand they're there to be set aside. And so what I need to do now with my knife is to remove the choke from the artichoke. And I can come right around the edge of the choke part of the artichoke, and this is so tender because we have steamed it. And now the choke will lift right out, and I'm going to put it aside. See how fuzzy? This is actually just like the consistency of like cat whiskers or something, or a thistle. Just think of trying to eat a thistle. That's what we've got with the artichoke. Now, all of that I put in the discard pile, and what I am left with after I remove all of the other outer leaves is the heart of the artichoke. And the heart of the artichoke is, in my estimation, one of the best things to eat on God's green earth. Whoops, I've taken apart some of the stem. Okay, now, right here is the heart of the artichoke. And what I'm going to do, by the way, the Romans would cook these up. They would take the artichoke hearts and cook them in olive oil and spices. Just a wonderful thing. I have friends who actually take artichoke hearts. By the way, see all the work I've gone to, right? You know, you can go to Costco and get like a whole big jar of artichoke hearts for like $7, right? Because they've got big industrial machines that do all this stuff for you. Well, this is old school, and this is the way you do it if you had an artichoke plant growing in the backyard. However, watch. Now, this is part of the artichoke heart. You can dip it in the butter. You can use like an Italian dressing on it. Go any way you want to go, but I like it just plain because watch. Here I go. Ready? Okay. It's smooth. It is as buttery as an avocado, but a completely different flavor. But it's that texture. And I'm going to, mercy. I'm going to have one more piece. There, I've had, what's that, half of the avocado heart. And I'm still enjoying it. There. Now, I don't know if this happens to anybody else. It might just be me. But remember a couple of weeks ago we were preparing something that had the ingredient cilantro. And as you know, there's a proportion of the population for whom cilantro is not a blessing. That cilantro gives a soapy flavor to some people who have a particular gene that, makes cilantro taste soapy. There's something remarkably special about artichoke hearts and my taste apparatus, and it is this. It might work for you as well. But having eaten about half of this artichoke heart, now, for about the next half hour, anything that I taste will taste sweet. That sweetness will be the overwhelming taste impression I get of anything. I've had artichoke hearts in an Italian meal with spaghetti and garlic bread. I'd eat the garlic bread and spaghetti would taste sweet after having had the artichoke. It works on a lot of different dishes, but I've noticed, and I can tell that it's working right now, that the next thing that I taste will have that characteristic of sweetness all around it, sweetness at the margins of it. I'll still be able to taste the garlic in the garlic bread, and the bread flavor, I'll receive that, but there will be a surrounding sensation of sweetness. I'm going to let you preach the sermon on that. Isn't it nice that there's something that we can take in that will change the way we perceive the world, that will make the world look like a much sweeter place? And you know what? That's what Jesus has done for me. When Jesus enters into your heart, you'll notice that, the world doesn't lose any flavors, but it makes all of the flavors of the world come to life and to be surrounded by a particular sweetness. You know what? I've discovered that St. Stephen Church is a whole lot like an artichoke heart. That once you come and get involved and make it a part of your life, you'll find that everything else somehow turns sweeter. Well, hey, it's been great to be with you. Once again, this is just a standard artichoke. Watch for them in the supermarkets in October. Especially watch for them between March and May. All it takes is boiling water, and then you will be set and ready to go. And also, remember, there's part of the leaf that you eat, just like that, goes in the discard pile. And the rest of the leaf then you throw away. But what a blessing it is to discover something that makes life sweet. With Taste and See, this is Ken Jobst. Thanks for being a part of our program. Thanks for coming along with us. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.